Live from New York, it's Get Off My Lawn with Gavin McInnes.
Hello, folks. I have some very exciting news here. We have the author of a book that just came out today, Spygate. We have Matt Palumbo in the studio. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Palumbo!
All right, good to be here again, Gavin.
How are you?
Very good, very good.
You're a very tall gentleman, aren't you?
I think you tell me that every time I'm on. I guess you forget between
You know, we do so many Skype interviews that
That's
you
true.
shrink every time I see you, and then you reinstate your height.
I've shrunk to 6'4", and now I'm...
Before we talk about the book,
Sure.
I really want to push this idea that you do a show called Palumbo,
Okay.
where you wear a trench coat with a tie, and maybe you screw up one eye, like Peter Falk. Are you familiar with Palumbo?
The concept of the show, but I obviously need to start watching it for this future role I think I'm going to have to
Yes,
take on.
and it's, I don't like the way you dress. I don't like your
You've never liked the
pajama
way I
tops.
dress, though.
That's sleepover stuff.
There's always something wrong with me, isn't there?
Yes.
Okay.
You know what that it kind of is? That's kind of a sexy girl shirt. Like if she's sleeping over at your house.
The thing is, 3 years ago, you said we'd go shopping together, and that date has not happened. So.
Well, you know what's weird about that?
Yeah.
After I chastised you the first time we
I did
met,
get new shoes.
You had like J. Crew and suits on, and then I think you got laid and
Yes.
you got lazy.
Yeah, you haven't bullied me long enough for me to get my look together. So.
Yeah, there's more to life than just getting laid. You don't just sort of peace out as soon as you get one girlfriend. You got to keep trying. I'm 48.
All right, well, I have started working out, so that's one thing. I'm counteracting the lack of fashion sense with that.
Well, you can do both and just do nothing. Like if you're not into it, then just have a white T-shirt on.
Okay.
Like you don't have.
So don't try if I'm gonna look
Yeah,
stupid.
just go to basics. Just have Converse or Vans and Levi's and white T-shirt.
All right.
You know, brown cord Levi's jacket that just popped into my head. That would be a cute look. So here's the plan. It's called Palumbo. Now Peter Falk was a guy. He was a successful actor. There he is. And he had a good career. And then he goes, I'm going to do this character that's like a blue-collar detective with kind of a New York accent who's dumb. And I don't know what's going on. And so I investigate all these hoity-toity rich people. And it's kind of a parody of classism in a way.
Okay.
Because they poo-poo him and they go, this crap old New York detective, he can't figure anything out. And then he'll say, do the questions, and he'll lay it all out, and then he'll entrap the murderer by going, all right, well, my wife's a huge fan. She's read all your books, and she won't shut up about you. And she's going to be so excited that we met. But thank you very much for your time. Thank you. And then he'll go, there's one thing that's bothering me. You said that, and then they'll go, oh, and then they'll entrap themselves. Every episode. Nice formula, like an AC/DC song.
So I'm gonna be doing this with politics, though.
So you do this with politics and economics.
Okay, so I can talk to like myself, and then play a clip of someone saying something, and then.
Well, you'd have someone on your show, and they'd say, Trayvon Martin was being hunted by George Zimmerman, and he just shot him, and you go, oh, that's terrible. That's horrible.
Yeah.
And then you'll go, all right, well, thank you. There's one thing that's bothering me.
Didn't he assault the guy?
Was he not smashing George Zimmerman's head on the pavement? It's going to be hard, though, to get guests to come on your show.
You're gonna have to coach my acting, I think. I don't have much experience.
Well, there's that. You got to master the impression. You got to get the outfit. That's the easiest part.
Okay.
But it's going to be hard to entrap every single person
They're
on your
gonna know
show.
my shtick by the time.
They're going to go, I'm not going on that show, Palumbo. Well, let's just watch some of Peter Falk's.
Oh, listen, there's one other thing I wanted to ask you about.
There's one other thing. One thing is
The fellow
bothering
that Lessing worked with, Dr. Murchison. I can't find him, and I was wondering whether you can help me.
Does she have a
Apparently,
portrait of
he
herself on her
goofed up
wall?
some expensive project that he was working
Same
on.
altitude almost.
See, I've seen this picture every day for 12 years. You're a beautiful woman. At any rate, I've got Dr. Murchison's telephone number, and I've called him, but I haven't had any luck. Can you help me?
Well, just try the nearest saloon. I'm sure that's the only place he's welcome anymore.
Oh, murderer.
One more.
Spoken like a true murderer. Well, look at this one. Oh, my audio's cut out. There we go.
I can hear. I'll relay.
You should start dressing like this.
Trench coat?
Yeah. No one wears a trench coat anymore.
Well, I think Columbine kind of ruined that look.
Yeah,
So.
it's a black one.
Yeah.
You need a suit underneath. Look at
I was
this.
not with Leo Hart.
Can the stylist do something about this, please? Cut.
I'll hit up
I
Nico.
wasn't busy.
Cut.
killing
His
my
collar's
wife either.
weird.
Oh, one other thing. In regard to your practice of recording people's comments after
Another
the screening,
thing.
what is that, like a
One
question
thing
and
that's
answer
bothering
period?
me.
I mean, the people in the audience, they raise
At the
their
very
hands and they
least,
ask
we should
questions,
script a
and
commercial
You stand up there on
For that book?
stage.
All right, I'm
Yeah.
down.
No, usually we meet in
It's
the
the first
lobby.
one which cover you like, too, which is
We
a very big
discuss the film
achievement.
there, and
It
I
is a really good
record their
cover.
comments
Let's advertise
and
it. All right, that's enough.
Oh, you do it in the lobby.
Enough of my stupid Palumbo tangent, which, by the way, would totally ostracize young people.
It's true,
And
from the
it would
show.
be funny to no one under 50.
But most of like my demographic of the people who follow me from like Fox News are 60, so
Great.
It-
Well,
it
then
fits
we're
my
back
demo,
on.
so, yeah, we're
The
back on.
idea is back.
yeah.
Hey, technicians, I don't like that my head is touching on this camera. Can you give me a little more room up here? All right.
Yes.
So this is the book, Spygate, and I love guests like you.
Thank you.
Because you have so much to say about this, and I can just, we've been drinking beer ever since yesterday with Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh.
It's Kavanaugh beer. He brought beer back.
I did.
And why don't you tell me what this is about? The attempted sabotage of Donald J. Trump, and is written by CRTV's own Dan Bongino, and also you and DC McAllister.
Yeah, she's a writer for like The Federalist and PJ Media, so that's mainly where she's known from.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I mean, Dan called me up out of the blue in January with the idea of doing something on the Russia investigation. He started podcasting about it, and those ended up being his most popular podcasts.
really?
I think it really started blowing up like among his audience. So we thought, why not put all that information into a book? So we set out with the goal of doing a 30,000-word book that we'd finish in about a month or so.
Okay, like a little chat book.
Yeah, as you can tell, this is much long. I think this is around 75 to 80,000.
Yeah, this is a
So,
normal book size.
Yeah, it almost felt like every week we were saying, all right, in another week or two, this thing's all going to be done, and then more and more just kept coming out. So we ended up not really finishing it until around May or June. But we got so much more information than we ever hoped.
There's we were talking to Michael Malice yesterday about how this is chain of journalists
Yeah.
that Ezra Klein put together, and they would say it's these talking points we're going to go with.
Yes.
And they say Russia collusion, and I was saying to Michael yesterday that collusion's a weird word.
Yeah.
You don't use it that much.
No.
And they're giving themselves away by using it all the time, because it
Yes.
shows that they are all repeating the same talking
You
point.
see this, well, I guess not with you on Twitter anymore, but they anytime someone with a blue check mark talks about the Kavanaugh accusations, it's always credibly accused, no matter what, with no exception. And I wonder, there must be some list of talking points they're all getting to coordinate this.
Yeah,
It's
credibly,
weird.
because that's another strange phrase.
Way to put it,
I've
yeah.
never said credibly accused
Yeah,
in
and
my life.
the majority are certainly not credible either. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, what would be the normal verbiage for that kind of thing?
I don't
Say,
know. like
repeatedly accused or
Accused
something like
with
that.
evidence, or
yeah. You would just say accused.
Yeah.
And then it would be up to the other person.
Yeah.
So let's pull back a second.
Sure.
What is the left saying? Are they saying that Putin wanted Trump to win, which is already kind of a strange assertion, and then he somehow got into our internet election machine and changed actual votes? Boop, 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 boop.
So there are different levels of hysteria. That would certainly be the craziest, that they were actually literally hacking the election, which I don't, to my knowledge, is not actually possible. I don't think most of these booths are connected to the internet. I mean, don't quote me on that, but it would be, I don't,
Right.
We would have, if they did, we would have known by now.
Right.
So, I mean, the more general theory is just Russian actors, with the knowledge of the Russian government, tried to subvert themselves in the Trump campaign. There is, however, I mean, there is evidence of Russian influence, certainly trying to influence and help Trump.
All I've heard
But-
evidence of is like $1,500 or
Yeah,
in,
so-
Facebook ads.
And that also went both ways.
Right.
But of, let's say, Russians who actually interacted with Trump campaign members, the Trump campaign members had no idea who they were talking to. So there was Russian attempted interference, but not collusion. It wasn't both ways.
But isn't also another allegation that Russia hacked into Hillary's emails and had them released, which made Hillary look bad?
So that's very interesting. And I'll talk about that and the DNC hack, which actually might have either never happened or have been an inside leak. Because if you remember, they immediately used the DNC hack to say it was Russians and they gave those emails to WikiLeaks. The FBI offered to look at their servers and examine for them, and they refused. Which you'd think, well, I mean, we know with the Kavanaugh things, they seem to think very highly of FBI investigations, but they did not want one for whatever reason. And obviously the reason is the Russians didn't actually hack them.
Right.
They brought in a firm.
Well, also, there could be all kinds of other things
that they didn't want
corruption
uncovered.
going on.
Yeah.
Right.
So they brought in a firm called CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike, a number of their senior officers and stuff had worked for the Obama administration. They were the firm that claimed those Planned Parenthood videos were deceptively edited, and then all these other independent firms found they actually were not at all. So they hired CrowdStrike, which generally speaking has a left-wing bias, and within 1 day they concluded the Russians were behind the hack. So I'm just gonna, I mean, I'm not a cybersecurity expert. I'm just gonna assume it takes longer than a day to come to that kind of conclusion.
Yeah.
So
they would have said immediately, but just wait 24 hours. Do it tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what's funny? That's such a smoking gun.
Yeah.
The day it just that one piece of information.
Yeah.
It was a day, and I've never heard that before.
And now the DNC is claiming they weren't hacked at all, which so I don't know why they're now saying that, because what are we supposed to believe CrowdStrike found then?
This is what I keep coming back to on this show. What do you want?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, say there's their couple in a bar, and it's a girl, and a guy's hitting on her.
Yeah.
If she were to say, "What do you want?" You would say, "I want to have sex with you."
Correct.
Maybe a relationship. I don't know, but I definitely want to have sex with you tonight. Got it. That's clear.
Yeah.
But like with the Kavanaugh thing, I don't understand. I know they don't want to be on the Supreme Court, but as far as the system goes, do you want a system where an allegation with no evidence means someone can't get a job? Well, don't you see now that people would weaponize that?
And by the way, if you notice on Twitter, whenever someone calls Kavanaugh credibly accused, there's always one right-wing troll saying, so-and-so raped me, like the person who posted the accusation against Kavanaugh. And then they always respond with a screw you, or there's no evidence, or something along those lines. And it's like, well, obviously you see how fallacious it is when applied to you, so why not anyone else?
Yeah. You clearly don't want a society where you can just go, that guy raped me, and then that guy's life blows up. Because you just gave someone a ray gun, and they're just going to go.
I remember
believe women.
I remember when I read the Salem witch trials, or the Crucible in 8th grade, and when I got to the end, my first thought was, thank God this could never happen today.
And I love that analogy too. Because I don't like when people say McCarthyism. Because with McCarthyism,
there actually were communists.
There were communists infiltrating, but there's no such thing as witches.
No.
And this Nazi hunt, which wasn't really Kavanaugh, although they do make it a Black Lives Matter thing and all that. But this Nazi hunt is like, there's no Nazis.
Yeah, and to change the subject back to the book, with the special counsel, it has all, everything you'd expect of a witch hunt, where there are witches being found, but they're not being charged with witchcraft, which would be Russian collusion. It's tax evasion, tax fraud. Most of the Russians that were charged with creating fake identities and not registering as foreign agents. There's not a single, so far, not a single conviction in the Mueller Special Counsel that mentions collusion at all.
All right, so let's sift through the weeds here before we get started and try to zero in on what the allegations are from at least the moderately sane left.
Yeah.
And their allegation is that Russians hacked Hillary's email, and seeing anyone's emails can make them look bad. If we saw Trump's emails, that would hurt Trump's campaign. So that's what they mean when they say the Russians hacked the election.
Right.
But there's been no evidence of that whatsoever, besides a privately funded leftist group that determined it in 24 hours.
Correct.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was for the DNC emails. Hillary's, I think, was a hacker named Guccifer 2.0. I believe he was Russian, but not connected to not the Russian government.
Yeah, that's another thing they keep doing. They say Russia.
People say,
do you mean a Russian?
Yeah, people say Russian hacker and don't realize that's like saying Vietnamese nail salon. It's just kind of the way, that's the...
They're either from China or Russia.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they do. What else are they going to do? Their countries suck.
Exactly. All countries.
Just to be clear, folks at home, when Trump calls other countries shitholes, that includes Russia and China.
Yes.
Russia and China blow. Yeah. No one wants to live there.
No one.
All right.
Yes.
So we have the left's allegation, but you've got a whole book here, so you clearly went past that. Let's try to go through some of these attempted sabotages. The P tapes.
Yes.
Now, Tom Arnold has a show on Vice, my old alma mater, called Show Me the Tapes.
Yeah.
I believe he's expanded the definition of tapes. It can just be like Trump's sellotape.
Yeah.
But the original plan was there are tapes of Donald Trump getting prostitutes to urinate on a bed.
Something like, so the story originates, Trump was in Russia in 2013 for the Miss Universe pageant. He was meeting with these two guys, one was named Amin Agalarov, who's like a pop singer over there in Europe, and his father, Aras Agalarov. So the story allegedly takes place, they're all staying in a Ritz-Carlton together. Some of them, I think it was one of the Agalarovs, offered to send up prostitutes to Trump's room. But
which, by the way, in Russia, is like offering to send a toast.
But but by all accounts, Trump denied that, laughed it off. The Agalarovs haven't confirmed it. So the story, it's very possible it did some sort of story about that started with them and then kind of got corrupted through a game of telephone. Because if you look through Christopher Steele's dossier, the source is this guy named Sergei Millian, which is interesting because he's one of the people who randomly approaches George Papadopoulos, who was, do you remember when it was uncovered there actually were spies in the Trump campaign? There was a guy named Stephen Halper.
No.
No? Okay, well.
Spies for the left.
Yes, it was
not Russia.
No, an FBI informant.
Oh yeah, no, I know that.
Okay, yeah.
And Obama did it.
Yeah.
Obama was surveying Trump.
Yeah, so Halper was one of the people who met with Papadopoulos. Basically, if you listen to Papadopoulos, it sounds like Halper was trying to pry information out of him to get him to incriminate himself. But Millian was also a man who approaches Papadopoulos out of the blue. He's cited as a source for the Golden Showers incident. So there's somehow some sort of transmission of information from the Agalarovs to him where we got this weird story, and we don't know how.
So a spy who was working for Obama and also met with George Papadopoulos is also the guy who said that Trump has P tapes. But can I just add something?
So different.
I don't care. Like, say that was true, and he has a weird sexual fetish.
Yeah.
I could not care less about people's sex lives.
I mean, well, Halper was a guy who met Trump, I think, a few months before the election. Millian's a different guy. I mean, potential spy as well, but he's one who met Papadopoulos kind of out of the blue, weird circumstances, and also is credited as the source for the peace story. So it's very likely he was trying to maybe fish information or something of that nature out of him. For instance, when Halper met. Actually, no, I'll start with the beginning from Papadopoulos.
Yeah, because I was about to ask.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of background
story?
information. Yeah, so he was brought on as Trump's like a foreign policy advisor.
But he's a Clinton guy.
Was he?
Yeah, I thought he was friends
thinking
with the Clintons, although they had a falling out with him, I believe.
Okay,
but
yeah,
his
actually,
background was very pro-Clinton.
Okay, you actually didn't know that backstory, but so he met with a guy named Joseph Mifsud in Europe.
This is the TV guy.
Is he the TV guy? Papadopoulos?
Am I thinking of another George Stampanopoulos?
You're the ABC guy?
Yeah.
Stephanopoulos. They did, there was an interview, though. George Papadopoulos interviewed by George Stephanopoulos.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hey, Greece, can you do some normal last names,
With
please?
Milo,
Milo Yiannopoulos, Taki Theodore Acropolis. Sounds like someone is playing basketball in your mouth.
So in early 2016, Papadopoulos got...
So forget that Clinton stuff. I was
All right, we'll go ahead with that.
ABC.
Yeah. So he met with this guy named Joseph Mifsud in, I think it was Rome. Somewhere in Europe is the point.
Okay.
Mifsud didn't really appear interested in Papadopoulos until he started mentioning he had connections to Trump. And then Mifsud started talking about how, actually, I have all of Hillary's hacked emails and all this dirt on her, which is interesting because there's records of him donating to the Clinton Foundation. So the theory is he wanted Papadopoulos to somehow claim he himself had access to those emails and incriminate himself, even though he didn't. Oh. Which was interesting because a few months later, an Australian ambassador named...
You can just lose that.
I just lose it. There's no point. Yeah, dude, it sucks.
I'll be the one that's told
all right.
how long we're going.
So he meets with this guy named Alexander Downer in a bar in London a few months later. Papadopoulos reportedly drunkenly starts talking about how he possesses Hillary's hacked emails, which he doesn't at all. Okay. Downer then takes that information and goes to the FBI, which the FBI claims is why they opened a counterintelligence investigation into the Trump campaign. However, that's what they claim happened. Devin Nunes started looking into the documents of why the FBI started the investigation. There's no mention of that. So I think it's just their official quote-unquote cover of an investigation that was already either going on unofficially or then started.
That makes a lot more sense, yes.
And also, in addition to that, John Brennan testified that it was actually British intelligence sending him intel about members of the Trump campaign that he relayed to the FBI that started the investigation. So we have two different competing explanations for why the investigation started. And you might remember, before those two explanations, it was thought the dossier was the reason. So we really have three.
Right.
So we have no idea, and I think they just went, okay, it was a dossier. Oh, no, it was Papadopoulos. All right, actually, it was this third reason. And I think they're just kind of trying to come up with something that's believable.
Well, we're dealing with an incurious populace and a lot of women who are emotional. So all you need to do, if you do something immoral, like spy on Trump, is just throw in some obfuscation.
Yeah.
It's sort of like those things that confuse heat-seeking missiles. You throw out those bits of tinfoil out the back, and then the heat seekers just get bounced off, and they just sort of, it gets forgotten. And it's worked. America has pretty much ignored the fact that we had people spying on Trump throughout his campaign.
And people don't seem to realize, like, liberals will admit that Manafort and Page were surveilled on, but they don't realize literally every call they make is surveilled. And when they work for Trump, who do you think they're going to be talking to?
Right.
I would assume Donald Trump. So we would argue it's almost like, especially with Carter Page, it's almost a backdoor way to spy on Trump because there's no record of a warrant.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, that would confuse me.
But he's going to be talking to Trump, so you're going to get that.
You're going to get Trump information. Right,
Yeah.
I understand.
And this is kind of going off topic.
Spying on the people he talks to is the same as spying on him. Right.
And so this is interesting too. Remember the tweet of his about Trump Tower being surveilled? Mm-hmm. We think we know why he tweeted that. And it would be an example of Trump's quote-unquote truthful hyperbole, as he calls it. But you might remember he immediately